action.
give a contrast on the differences between Baldwin Park.
The lovely place we lived in
On
is
Brazil
Baldwin
Street,
Park, with the
and-
turkeys gobbling,
Yes, as
the
compared,
gobblers,
yeah.
and
Why don't you
then,
just turn it off for a second, just turn the TV on. Push the button in.
Well, she still be photoed?
Yeah, it'll still be on. But it won't distract you.
oh, and then I won't know it.
No.
Oh, well, that'll be good.
What I wanted to get was, I don't have any sense of who Dad's parents were, and who Grandpa's parents were, and Grandma's parents, and those people, and where they came from, and what parts of Ireland and stuff.
Well, Dad's
Yeah.
father, of course, came right from Ireland, from County Down. And I went there and visited County Down, and Armagh. James' people were from Armagh, and I loved every minute of it. I had a card from Penny, did you see it?
Yes,
And she's going to Ireland this summer, and she will love it, I think, too.
yeah.
All people with Irish heritage should go to visit Ireland.
I think so.
What was that? Pappy came from,
He came
County Down.
when he was 9 years old. They came over at the time of the potato famine, I believe. Came in steerage, and that was an insult to the Irish. Of course, they used to insult the Irish like they do the Mexicans today, maybe. And they'd say, "You came on steerage."
Yeah,
And then they put him to work when he was 9 years old in Hayden Brothers. And his father would go off on big long voyages at sea, and
but was that Henry?
Henry
Yeah.
J. Crawford, but Henry must have come home fairly often because there were about 6 children.
Yeah.
And then Henry'd be gone.
What sort of disposition did Henry have?
A lovely little man,
Was he?
just a lovely little man. He used to say to me, "You're a fine big girl, just like your father." My father then weighed about 250. I was
Yeah.
about 18,
Yeah.
and I was just delighted to hear that.
Oh yeah, sure. It was a good eagle booster.
But of course, I didn't weigh 250 pounds at that time.
did Henry come with
Yes.
Pappy? When they came?
Yes, they all came, but he would go off to sea. And from what I understand from the grandmother, that's where James was related to the grandmother. You see, she was a Montgomery. And they used to say they didn't blame poor Henry for going off to sea, because
Yeah, that's the women.
Mary
were crazy.
Montgomery was
Yeah.
extremely difficult to get along with.
Yeah.
She was Mary Crawford then. Then there were some sisters, Great Aunt Alice. I knew her too. She was another one of those Montgomerys.
Oh, okay.
And so that's the way they, Dad's, let me see.
Mother.
No.
What about her?
James's father and Dad's grandmother were related. They were both Montgomerys, so they were second or third cousins.
Yeah.
That's the way you're related to James Montgomery.
What about Dad's mother's?
She was a Farr, and she also, one of her names was Eagles, and she was related to I don't know if you ever heard of Jane Eagles, quite a famous
Oh
actress.
yes, I have.
She was related to them, an extremely talented, high-strung person, I guess, from what I understand. That's probably where a lot of you. Now you better shut that
Okay.
off.
No.
Now,
And
to be continued.
she came from where?
Walk in front of the camera.
That's all right. Go ahead.
From
Say hello.
Ireland
Say hello
also.
to
I
Grandma.
really think she was English. Hi, how are you, honey?
You're stunning.
Nice to see you. I'm on TV.
You're so Asian.
You're on
No, I'm not
TV.
gonna set it.
Come here, Kevin.
Hi, Janet.
Hi,
How are you?
Hi, Janet, how are you?
God, really?
Hi,
Is it
how are you?
Hi, Kevin.
And say hello to the folks. Say hello to your grandma.
Hi.
You got lots of Easter
Hi,
eggs.
Janet.
Hi.
Janet, come here.
Janet.
Get over here. You got.
I
I'm
want to be
here.
in the movie.
I want you in it. Huh?
Yeah. I know exactly where you left off. You were talking about,
A farm? Go
no,
on.
you were talking about, I'm gonna leave it off, Cliff, and then shoot.
Yeah, all right.
Go on.
About who?
You were talking about, Grandpa's, Henry's sister in the Montgomerys.
Oh, yes. Two sisters. Aunt Alice and I can't think of the other one's name. Victoria, I believe. Well, now, you think that's enough of the Crawfords? I should go off to the
Edith.
Wheatley's,
Yeah.
Grandma's.
Well, Edith,
Oh, Edith,
Or-
I didn't say too much about Edith. Edith was related to the Eagles, Jane Eagles, from England. I really think she was more English. The same as Grandpa, you know, I think his family was from England, so I think you're Irish and English.
didn't Edith have, she must have had part, Irish, didn't she? Wasn't there
Well,
Far?
Far sounds Irish, doesn't it?
Or, British.
Far and Eagles.
Far sounds more British.
She was quite a character, and her father was the sheriff of Hastings, Nebraska. You've heard that story. And she decided to get a shotgun and go after the fellow that, I think that one of his cows went over into another farm and ate some grass or something. And the man came over and shot him and killed him. In a dispute about, he decided to get a shotgun and go after the fellow that, I think that one of his cows went over into another farm and ate some grass or something. And the man came over and shot him and killed him. In a dispute about how much should be paid. So Edith decided to get a gun and take care of that man. And that's the temperament that she had.
She was how old then, about 12 or
Oh, maybe 14.
14?
She was the oldest. And of course, she left quite a family there without a father. And I think she was one of the older ones.
Had a volatile temper, didn't she?
Oh, yes. And a beautiful voice, I guess, and really a very beautiful woman. You probably have seen pictures of her.
Yeah. Of half of them.
And then she was related, on her side, to the Daltons. You know, the Dalton gang up there. And,
Missouri.
The Daltons were related to the Jameses, too.
yeah, the Jameses and the Daltons and the gang, the James brothers. We went to their hideout when we were in, I think it's Dodge City, someplace around there.
Yeah.
And I never knew her. I met the Crawfords in November of 1922, and she died in October 1922.
You
So
met
I
a
never
month
met,
after.
I never met Dad's mother, but she was very, very beautiful. And I guess her health was very bad. And she did a lot of work for the sisters. And so she went out, said, I'm going out to the convent and stay for a while. And Dad went with her, and they sat on the streetcar, and up above the streetcar they used to have ads, like you need a biscuit or something, you know. And then they'd laugh and look at the people that were sitting below the sign, you know, and they laughed all the way out there. And then when they got there, it was Pico Heights Convent. She said to Dad, you know, I'm never coming out of this place. Well, she was awfully temperamental, and he didn't. He said, oh, you'll be fine, you know, and pay attention to her. So she got up the next morning and went to Mass at the chapel, and then had breakfast and said, I don't feel too well, I'm going to rest, and that was it.
How old was she?
Very young, about 43, and just died.
Huh.
And I guess what went on, you can imagine, with the shock of the whole thing. And Dad was working at the May Company at that time. And Walt came running down to the May Company, all the way, ran from 13th Street to about 9th Street. And he wouldn't tell him what was the matter, he just said, come on, come on, come on, get out of this store. And they
On
were
the
running
sidewalk.
all the way home, and finally he told him that his mother was gone. Walter took that so hard. He really, I thought he would never get over the death of his mother. And I don't really think he did much until he married Angie. And then she seemed to fill a void in his life. But he was very close to her.
How old were they at that time? Walt and
Well,
TJ?
Walter was probably about 23 or 4, and Dad was about 20, I think. And Marion was 12. And here's Marion left to be raised with her father and these 2 brothers. And so they met a lovely family, those Fitzgeralds. You may have seen some of them at Marion's funeral the other night.
Yes.
And they took very fine care of Marion. It was like a boarding house. They had an apartment there and they took all their meals. And this Irish Catholic Fitzgeralds really took Marion under their wing and were wonderful to her. So Mr. Crawford really deserves a lot of credit because he just devoted his life to Marion. Pretty well spoiled, I might add.
Yeah.
From then on. And quite difficult to get along with.
Yeah.
But she could do no wrong.
You and she were went to school together.
Yes, see, when I went, she had been at 16th Street School, and when her mother died, they put her in St. Vincent's. And she'd been there about a month. And we came in November, you see, and she went there in October, right after her mother died.
Yeah.
So I really knew Marion from November 1922.
Yeah.
So that's why when Adelaide said we lost our oldest friend, we really did.
Yeah.
We knew her longer than anyone.
Uh,
Now,
There's Joey.
I'll get off on,
well, who was the sheriff that was related to them who was killed that never wore a gun that Dad used to?
well, now that might have been this,
Edith Farr's father.
Farr. What was his first name? Can you remember?
No.
Well, his son's name was Heil,
Yeah.
and Walt was very friendly with, of course, that was his mother's brother.
Yeah.
One of them was driving a train or
Wow.
something, and
No, Joey.
years later, he saw the guy that did the shooting and could have run over him with a train
Yeah.
Really?
and didn't do it.
Give Joey a piece of bologna so she wouldn't bother me.
Come here.
Joey.
So,
Well, now I gotta get off on another family.
Yeah.
Is that enough about the Farrs? Now, the Wheatleys.
I guess now, which side was Alice Street related to?
Well, Alice Street was related to the Farrs. See, she was,
Edith's relative.
yes, she was, a cousin.
So Edith must have had some brothers or sisters.
She did, she had some sisters, and they were extremely temperamental also. One of them couldn't sleep at night, so she got up and roller skated all through the house at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
Said, if I can't sleep, no one will sleep.
Yes.
And so that was one of her sisters. So you see, when you see some of these temperamental people like Judy, you can see where they get some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that temperament.
Huh?
How do you think the temperament worked as far as the ancestors and the similarities? Like Phil seems to be more like Grandpa, and
Well, yes, I think Phil is more like Grandpa. I don't think he is anything like the Farrs. Might be somewhat like the Crawfords.
yeah,
But you see, the Farrs and the Crawfords are quite different.
That's where the temperament came from.
Yeah, that's what I think. Although, you know, Grandpa had quite a temper too.
Grandpa was a lot more high strung than he
Yes.
Did
But-
Phil?
It must be that evidently,
exuded.
wasn't it Pappy who couldn't talk to till he had a couple cups of coffee?
Yes, oh, he had a terrible disposition in the morning, and we
Well, that
have some
sounds like
members of
someone
his
else in
family
this
we think
room.
also have a bad.
Now Clem is the one that can't
Of course,
talk
we
to
wouldn't
anybody
like
without
to
coffee, right?
Yeah.
But Clem, by his own statement, says
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's one of them.
Oh, I think that's a proven fact, but continue on others besides me.
Oh, yeah, Mary Lee. And
Mary Lee doesn't want anyone talking to her in the morning. She liked to get up, and I'm pretty well that way myself, especially when I was working. I'd get up real early so I could have a cup of coffee before these kids got up and started just battling and fighting over socks and what have you. Just so sit for a little while and be quiet
Yeah.
before the thundering herd comes out. But, well, let's see now. We'll go to Grandma.
Yeah.
Grandma's, both parents came from Ireland, but there again, her father's name was Wheatley, and Wheatley, I'm pretty certain, is an English name.
Yes, it is.
And he was from they were from the north of Ireland. And of course, there are some English that are in the north of Ireland. Because when Mary Lee and I were in Dublin, and we stayed in this rooming house rather than a hotel, and that's where you really get to know the people. And this landlady was so Irish and so typical. Many of them are extremely selfish, or stingy is the word.
Uh-huh.
She turned out all the lights, and you come in at 9 o'clock at night, you could fall right on your face going up the stairs.
Oh, save money though.
No toilet paper, ever, you know, save money. And we wanted coffee, and she said, those Americans, they always want to drink coffee. You're supposed to drink tea, you know.
Oh,
And she said to us, Crawford. If I ever heard a North of Ireland name in my life, it's Crawford. And we said, well, this was in Dublin.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we went up to where Mr. Crawford was from, you know, and his family, and James and all of them, up in Armagh, where all the fighting's been going on. Terrible, terrible fighting since then. And you could tell, even when we were there, that there was a terrible feeling, because when you'd go from the south of Ireland into the north of Ireland, the guards would jump on the train and go through everything. Even want to open your purse.
Polices and, yeah.
And Mary Lee, of course, as you know, Mary Lee proceeded to tell them to leave her purse alone, and what in the
Yeah.
blankety blank did they think they'd find in her purse. And the rest of them were very quiet, and they just answered their questions mildly, and then the guards got off and we went on. And there was a priest there. And he said, and did you hear the little lady? And did you hear the little lady? He just loved the fact that Mary Lee stood up to those guards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought this can't go on. And of course it didn't go on there. It had been killing one another.
3
ever
centuries
since.
of hostility or more.
But I told already how your grandfather came, but this is Grandma's people now.
Yeah.
Well, Grandma's mother's name was Bridget O'Donnell, and she was from Donegal, which is in the North Atlantic. So we went to Donegal. I thought, I've got to see Donegal, and it is such a cold, bleak country. She was very, very stern and very strong. And she had a calf, and she raised that calf, and her father took it to market, and she was to get the money. You know, he sold it for $14. And he brought her home a doll. And so with that, she left.
What did he
She
do?
left Ireland.
What did he do with the other dollar?
He put it in his pocket. I suppose they needed the money, you know.
Oh, I thought he might have drank it.
And he wouldn't give it to her, so she left.
Yeah.
But she did have some relatives in Pennsylvania. And of course, she came first by herself. She never went back. Always wanted to go back to Ireland. Never got to go back. Not all because of this doll instead of the $14.
Did she have any brothers?
Yes, she had brothers and sisters, but I never knew too much about them. I don't think, because she came by herself and stayed with an aunt. And then she met this John Joseph Wheatley, who was also from Ireland, in Iowa, I believe. She went from Pennsylvania to Iowa. And they are the ones that really came in the covered wagon and were the real pioneers.
Yeah.
And came across the country in the covered wagons and settled in Nevada.
Where you were born.
Yes, and Grandma was born there too, you know.
In Nevada
In
also.
Nevada.
Where was she born in Nevada?
She was born in Pioche. I don't know if there is such a town as
Yes,
Pioche.
yes. It's an
And,
Indian place.
Then when they got to be about 10 or 11, they'd send them to San Bernardino to a boarding school. Now they were very prosperous for those times because they had a big boarding house and they owned the water rights and they sold people the water for so much a barrel, and they had the post office, and they had sole rights to the everything, and along comes Nicholas Berry Buckler and Clement Lee Buckler and open up a store as a competitor right across the street from them, you see.
Yes.
And of course
Family squabble.
Mary Wheatley decides to marry Clement Buckler, and so
Oh yeah.
that's
That's
how
how they
that
got
all
together.
that's how that all came
Yeah.
about.
What was that? What city was that in? Church
Pioche.
or Pio?
Pioche. And but this was in Searchlight that they had this store. You know, that's where I was born, in Searchlight. And Grandma would not go anywhere near a doctor before I was born. But by the time I was finally arrived, she wouldn't have cared. She said if they had every doctor in the state of Nevada there, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, she had such a terrible time and hadn't even seen a doctor. And in that desert town, I often think of that.
First child too.
And then when I am 4 months old, whammo, she's going to have another child. Because there are 13 months between Adelaide and myself. But believe me, she came right into the city of Los Angeles when Adelaide was born and had a doctor. She had a woman doctor, however. Adelaide always said knew she was an unwanted child. Nobody in the world had wanted a second child that quickly. And Grandpa wanted us both to be boys. So,
Yeah. Can you remember that doctor's name by any chance? Just who
no,
Grandma's doctor was.
no, I have not.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Yes, that would be good to know. I know it was a woman doctor.
What was Grandma born in Nevada too? Then she didn't come out in the covered wagon. It was
Oh
her
no,
parents.
it was her parents. She was born in Nevada, and all her family were born in Nevada.
So it was-
Aunt Sarah was the oldest. You remember Aunt Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah. With
And
big glasses. And,
there were 5 girls, I believe, and one of them's name was Essie. And she wanted to go and stay all night with one of her friends, and they let her go. And it was the house caught on fire, and she burned to death.
Oh my God.
She was 14 years old. And my mother would not let Adelaide and I go as kids any place. She was always afraid. And that I had subconsciously, I was afraid to be away from home. I never felt safe. I think it was from hearing that story. Something's going to happen to you. The house is going to burn up or something, you know.
What were the other sisters? Were Sarah and Carrie and
Sarah and Carrie and Essie. Or maybe there were only 3.
there were 4 girls then.
Yeah, I thought there was another girl.
well, one died in the fire. Right?
Well, that was
That
Essie.
was Essie.
And Sarah was the oldest. And then Mamie and Johnny, John Joseph Wheatley. And that was your grandfather's name, John Joseph Wheatley.
Yeah. How did,
And Carrie.
yeah.
Carrie was the baby, and they had more money by the time Carrie was growing up, and they sent her into the Immaculate Heart, you know, in Los Angeles there, and she furnished a room, and she had the best education of all of them. And she's the one that decided to fall in love with the violin player in the saloon, who had been married before and years older than she was. And there again, that Bridget O'Donnell Wheatley
Yeah.
course, she was not married to that man 6 weeks till she realized she'd made the mistake of her life, so she goes home. And that's the end of Ben Emmerich. Well, they were born in Nevada.
So-
Aunt Sarah was the oldest. You remember Aunt Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah? The
And
big glasses and,
there were 5 girls, I believe, and one of them's name was Essie. And she wanted to go and stay all night with one of her friends, and they let her go. And the house caught on fire, and she burned to death.
Oh my God.
She was 14 years old. And my mother would not let Adelaide and I go as kids any place. She was always afraid. And that I had subconsciously, I was afraid to be away from home. I never felt safe. I think it was from hearing that story. Something's going to happen to you. The house is going to burn up or something, you know.
What were the other sisters? Were Sarah and Carrie and
Sarah and Carrie and Essie. Or maybe there were only 3.
there were 4 girls then?
Yeah, I thought there was another girl.
well, one died in the fire.
Well, that was
That
Essie.
was Essie.
And Sarah was the oldest. And then Mamie and Johnny, John Joseph Wheatley. And that was your grandfather's name, John Joseph Wheatley.
Yeah. How did,
And Carrie.
yeah.
Now, Carrie was the baby, and they had more money by the time Carrie was growing up, and they sent her into the Immaculate Heart, you know, in Los Angeles there, and she furnished a room, and she had the best education of all of them. And she's the one that decided to fall in love with the violin player in the saloon, who had been married before and years older than she was. And there again, that Bridget O'Donnell Wheatley.
Yeah.
Of course, she was not married to that man 6 weeks till she realized she'd made the mistake of her life, so she goes home. And that's the end of Ben Emmerich.
Yeah.
Well, then when Ben hears that he has a son, he comes to see his son, and my grandmother told him to get off the place. He could not even lay eyes on his son. So, and then years later, Sarah married his brother. Carrie married Ben's brother, Lou Emmerich,
Sure.
who was a fine workman and not a playing souvenir. She fell in love with that piece, souvenir,
Yes,
you know.
my souvenir.
And anyway, Lou was one of the fortunate ones that made at least 3 fortunes in mining. He was out there in Rosemead. He didn't own the mine, but he had well over $100,000 before the income tax days, you know.
Yes.
Bought all his brothers, all his relatives a brand new car, and gave Dad and I enough money to buy a house and move it on
This.
Burnside, and was very, Dad liked Lou very much.
Didn't he play cards also?
Yes, he was around the,
This was all during the gold rush, I guess, days, wasn't it?
No, hell no.
well, no,
Lou Emmerich. Yeah.
Lou, see, I was married.
Oh, I was.
Mary Lee was a baby when Lou died.
You were married in 33, weren't you?
Well, what happened to Sam Emmerich's child?
I mean, Lou and.
No, Lou was the second husband. Sam was the first one who
Oh,
had the baby, who he never saw.
Ben Emmerich.
Oh, okay.
Ben
sorry.
Emmerich was my cousin Jack, who died. Do you remember seeing him at Grandpa's funeral?
Yeah.
He had diabetes. He has since died. Did you know that Timmy died?
No?
Timmy Emmerich.
Yes. Under very strange circumstances. They don't know how or why. That's 2 of those children. You know, one of them died
Teresa.
up there with the hippies, probably from an overdose, and
Yeah.
something similar has happened to
Timothy.
Timmy, and I think Margaret is probably clear off, maybe in Camarillo. I don't know.
Now, Jack Emmerich is the one with all the children,
He has 9 children.
and then
These
the
kids
crazy
used to
one.
say, why did they have so many children? They don't even like them.
So Margaret is institutionalized.
Well, I'm afraid so, because probably, maybe as an alcoholic. I wrote to her after Jack died, and I write to her at Christmas time, and I get no correspondence. But out of the blue, Eva called Adelaide and said that someone, Susan, you know,
Uh-huh.
The oldest.
their oldest, the
Yeah,
oldest
Sue,
one
the
had
nurse.
called and told
Yeah.
them about Timmy,
Uh-huh.
and that he had died, and told them that her mother was up north around Camarillo someplace.
Yeah.
Now it is possible that she's with her sister. but
Yeah.
She did do an awful
I
job.
wanted to ask something about, Grandma used to, talk about her, was it relatives, that were all in their grave before they had,
Well, they all drank but Grandma,
yeah,
every one of them. And she wouldn't even eat a piece of mince pie because it
with,
would go to her head. You know, the brandy that was in it.
uh-huh.
But she was the only one in the family that didn't drink.
But what happened to those relatives of hers? I mean, just briefly, what happened to them?
Well, they all died in their early 40s. Carrie was only 42 and her brother was about the same age. They liked to drink like the Irish, and then they would go and get a shot in these little small towns. And of course you can imagine the quack doctors,
Yeah,
and they'd give them a great big shot and that was the end of them.
yeah.
That happened to Lou and that happened to Johnny. Both of them in their early 40s. About younger than Tom, way younger, about Mary Lee's age, about 42 years old.
Well, is John Emmerich the oldest, the one that was crippled? Is he died too? Margaret's husband,
Jack,
Jack Emmerich,
yes,
Yes, he died.
he died.
yeah, he
He
died
had diabetes pretty
in
badly.
Long Beach.
You see, this Bridget O'Donnell was a diabetic, and a serious diabetic, and of course diabetes is inherited. And they told her, of course they had no insulin in those days, you will stop eating the potatoes, mashed potatoes. She said, I will eat the mashed potatoes if they kill me. Of course they did. She died in the early 50s. She kept right on eating them. She's going to eat them anyway. She died in Redondo Beach. And now I didn't say anything about Grandpa,
Yeah.
and that's a big long story. Grandpa, of course, was always proud of the name Lee because he claimed the relationship back to General Lee, and his mother was a Lee.
Yeah. He was born in Kentucky.
Grandpa was born in Washington, Indiana,
Well, yeah,
but his people were born in Kentucky.
What was his mother's name?
Adelaide Lee.
that was the surname, Lee.
Her
Yeah.
last name.
Yeah,
So when Mary Lee and I were in Washington, D.C., we went through the Lee mansion. And there was Mary Lee there. And she had quite a lot of money. In those days, $50,000 was a lot of money. And when her father died, he left all these girls $50,000. And $50,000, when you don't have to pay a penny tax, was some money. you
oh
know.
yes,
Be like $1 million today.
Yes, yeah. But they had a little girl, and her name was Mary Lee. She married Nicholas Barry Buckler, you see. And when that little girl died, I think she went into a depression that may have caused their divorce, because in those days divorce was just unheard of, you know.
mm-hmm,
And they were divorced. And so when Grandpa and his father went out in Searchlight to start this store, there was a seamstress out there,
yeah,
and she met this Nicholas. She knew he was divorced, and she made up her mind she was going to get that man, and she did. She followed him wherever she went. And my grandmother used to live with us. We lived down there in the Imperial Valley and all. She's buried
Yes.
down there someplace.
Uh-huh.
And she said to my mother, Nick married that woman, didn't he? And I guess they might have gone back together, but Grandpa really didn't want him to. I don't know, he just figured they didn't get along, and there had been so much fighting, and,
Yeah.
but I often figure that the kid should say nothing.
You know, in your family of Grandma and Grandpa, and on their side, did any one of them have a photographic memory or give any evidence of that? Because it seems to me that you do.
Oh, no, I don't, I've just heard these stories many times all my life, you know.
No, I don't think there are many people who can sit down and do that, Mom. I think
History,
there's
yeah.
1 in 5,000 that
And of
can
course,
do that.
I'm interested in it. I would
Yeah.
like to make a study of the genealogy and really would like to do that. Grandpa liked it too. And
Yeah.
Tom's got a book on it. He likes to do it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that you remember everyone's birthday without,
Oh, well,
and then also now you've gone through at least 80 different people in less than 20 minutes, and I don't know anyone that can do that.
Well, what happened to, did Grandpa then was the girl that died born after Grandpa or before?
she was born afterwards. She was his little
And
sister.
that's, you think, after that they broke up?
Yeah, I think that caused such a depression with the mother.
So he was an only child then?
So he was raised as an only child, and he supposedly, according to Grandma, was so rotten spoiled that it was just absolutely terrible. Because, you know, he was the only one, and he lived most of the time with his mother. And he went from one fine school to another. He was up there at Gonzaga, and he said, I will not stay here, they do not give me enough butter.
Yeah.
And then when he was out there in Searchlight, when he'd go in the dining room, some of those miners would eat with their knives, and he was horrified, you know.
Yeah, now what is the relationship?
Well, you know, he did change a whole lot. I don't think he was that way when you knew him. But he was more or less of a snob, I think.
Well, he had, you know, I was talking to Nancy and I mentioned that sometimes people who have been taken care of don't know what to do, how to fend for themselves when, like, Grandma died and there's no one to fix meals for him, but he handled his life quite well.
Yes, he did.
He fixed his own meals and he would still take care of
Well,
things. And,
Yeah.
And he took good care of Grandma.
It's also a matter of record that Grandpa took a little civil service test in Los Angeles and scored higher than anyone in history of taking that little test. It is a matter of record, public
well, he
record.
loved the current events and he read the newspaper every day.
Yes, he
watched
did.
the news every time it would come on.
He used to
Not
take
just
all
once
those
a day.
tests, every test that came along he'd take, you know.
Yeah,
And he, of course, this was really depression times, and he got a job at the coroner's office, which was big pay in those days. So every time there's a murder, he had to run out and view the body. Well, he did not have the stomach for that. He had
yeah.
to quit that job, and then he went to work for the police department. But he was extremely well-read, knew every single thing that was going on all over the world, and read all the newspapers and papers.
Yeah.
He had a tremendous amount of pride.
Oh,
Oh, he was
and
proud.
honor, and
Integrity, honesty, and dignity, and
he used to say, many of these religious people, to me, I find them greatly lacking in character. You know, they were dishonest, and they would lie
oh
and
yes,
cheat,
Bible pounding hypocrites.
and yet they
yeah.
were running to church every Sunday, and he couldn't understand that.
Yeah,
But of course, before both he and Grandma died, they did go back to the church and receive the last sacraments and everything.
yeah.
Well, he wasn't sure about it because he used to tell me, and that was when it was still not proper to eat meat on Friday.
Yeah.
He'd cook something else up and he'd tell me that he wasn't cooking any meat, and he would say, and this was after Grandma died, he'd say, well, you know, I want to go to heaven. And he'd look at me and smile. And he, you know, as though he weren't quite convinced of it all, but he was not taking any chances on it.
Yeah. I don't think Grandpa was ever really preoccupied with religious matters.
He, when they were married in the cathedral down 2nd Main Street in Los Angeles. And they wanted him to go to Holy Communion, and he said, no, I don't believe as you people do, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going through that was the type of person he was. If he didn't believe it, he wasn't going through the semblance and going up there and acting like he did believe it.
Yeah.
But then before he died, he did, and so did Grandma. Now when Carrie died, about 42, she really did like to drink and lived quite a life. And Grandpa and Grandma were going out there. They lived out in the desert. When he'd get a few days off, they'd go. And just as they drove up, she had gone out to the stove. They had an electric stove, and she fell. And Jack thought she'd gotten an electric shock. But what really happened, she had a cerebral hemorrhage, you see. Had this high blood pressure. So they drive up just as they're going to take her away in an ambulance. Grandma said she kept reaching for a cigarette. But Walter used to laugh and say she rolled her own, you know, she could roll a cigarette with one hand.
Yeah. Carrie.
And he just loved to talk to her. He would go out there, and she was a waitress. And
Well, she could roll a cigarette with one hand and fry eggs.
yes, she could.
At the same time. She's ambidextrous.
She'd get mad at Grandma. She'd get drinking, as the drinkers do. Then she'd get thinking about her sister that never drank. And then she'd call up Mama and she'd say, "You've never lived. I lived more in 1 week than you've ever lived." And say all sorts of things. She'd remember what she'd said to her and call up later. I don't know. She got brooding about the fact, I think, that Grandma always did what she's supposed to do, and she never did anything
Proper
she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But when they got all this money, that really finished them off, because then they didn't have to work anymore, and they drank like fish. And Carrie took Grandma on a trip to Canada. And of course, Grandma had never been on a trip anyplace. It was a beautiful trip. I think they went on a boat. Of course, Carrie never left her stateroom. She just had one big bottle right after another. Mama had a wonderful time where she was just seeing all the sights and everything.
Yeah.
And then she went to New York, and I'm sure she never saw a thing about New York. Probably